Okay, so today what I want to talk about is finding complex roots from polynomials. Okay, real quick review. And we did this, gosh, did we do this Monday before? No, we did this last week. Real quick review. Imaginary numbers, for instance, the square root of -4 is going to be a 2i. Okay? Right? That's an imaginary number, correct?
Yeah.
If I had a number like 3 plus 4i, that's a complex number. Remember that? It's complex because you have a real plus an imaginary. Okay? So today, for finding complex roots, we're going to have answers that have I in them, okay? So let's look at example 1. So example 1, solve each polynomial. So the multiples of 5, are they going to make a 4?
No.
Not like this. So how do you solve it?
Subtract it.
Okay, we could subtract it, but that's still not going to work.
Factor.
It won't factor.
Or take out the 2 and or just pull out the x.
So if it won't factor, you're going to have to use the quadratic formula, okay? When you get to Massey's class, you're not going to be able to use a calculator, so everything's going to have to be done with formulas, okay? So we can do that, though. We know that A is 1, B is -4, and C is 5, right? So I'm going to set up -b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And I'm going to highlight that. And you guys have seen this before. I know you have. We started learning it as far back as geometry, right? So it's fairly easy. It's just tedious. You guys agree? It's not hard. It's just tedious. So -b, I'm going to go -4, or I'm going to go +4 plus or minus. I did the double negative, right? +4 plus or minus square root of -4 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is 5, all over 2 times a, which is 2 times 1. Okay? How am I doing? So I'm going to get a 4 plus or minus the square root of a 16 plus 20 over 2, right? Oh, that's a minus. Darn me. I knew something was wrong. So I'm going to get a, shoot it up here because I'm in a room, 4 plus or minus the square root of a -4 over 2, right? And that's just 2i. So we know the square root of -4 is 2i, so we're going to go, okay, 4 plus or minus 2i over 2. And we're going to fix it because we have to have the reals separate from the imaginaries. So my answer is going to be a 2 plus or minus a 1i. Okay, and you don't need the 1, but I like to put the 1 there so you know where I got it from. Okay, so we learned last week that when you've got complex numbers, you've got to have the reals by themselves plus the imaginary. Okay, thumbs up. So those are the two answers. And we know there's two answers because it's x squared. They're two imaginary complex numbers, but we have two answers. Okay, thumbs up. Okay, number 4, okay? If it can factor, let's factor, okay? So I'm going to factor this into x squared plus 4, x squared minus 4, okay? Does that make sense? 4 answers. So I got my mini equations. I've got x squared plus 4 equals 0 and x squared minus 4 equals 0, right? 4 answers, right? -4 minus 4 on the first one, and I get x squared equals -4. Square root, I agree, square root. How many answers? So we're going to have a plus or a minus. X is equal to plus or minus 2i. Nice job. Totally right, Eduardo. Everybody agree with 2i? Plus or minus 2i? Okay. And then on the second one, it will factor, but we can solve it also. +4 plus 4. We can take the square root of 4, right? We can. Square root of 4, square root of 4, square root. And we get x equals plus or minus 2. 4 answers. We've got 2 real roots, and 2 imaginary. Okay? Does that make sense? Are we good on that? Okay, now, example 3. Slide it up. Am I going too fast?
Nope. For this one, would you use?
Okay, Patricia, am I okay? Okay, what's that? Didn't I give you one? Where is it? Right here. Okay, so example 3. Let's factor, okay? X squared, right? What times what makes 9?
3 and 3.
Yep.
Times,
Give me another combination. Correct. Give me another combination.
9 and 1.
Yeah. How about a -9 and a +1? Because that'll make the -8x squared, won't it?
Yes.
+1x, -9. Okay, so then I've got my mini equations. X squared minus 9 equals 0, and x squared plus 1 equals 0, right? Plus 9, x squared equals 9, square root, right?
Is it x equals 3?
And -3, yes, plus or minus 3. And it has to be -3 also, Sydney. And you can...
Yeah, I know.
You got that right. And then on the other one, I've got x squared equals -1, right? Square root, right?
Plus or minus.
X equals plus or minus the square root of -1, but that...
Is I.
There you go. Or x equals plus or minus I. Nice job. So we do have 4 answers, 2 reals and 2 imaginaries, right?
Did you guys do like I cubed?
Yeah, we've done that. Yeah, we went through all that, yes. Did you miss that day? You might have missed that day, because we did that last week.
Yeah. I was.
Yeah. Okay, you ready to turn the page? All right. Example 4. Now, we did this on our warm-up, didn't we? This looks very familiar on our warm-up. So what did we do? Group them, right? Right. X squared comes out. I'm going to put a 1 here to make it easier on myself. So I'll have an x plus 1. Take out a 9. And I'll have an x plus 1, right? What do they have in common? X plus 1, and what would be left over would be the x squared plus 9, right? Okay, mini equations. So I can set up an x plus 1 equals 0 and an x squared plus 9 equals 0, right? And then I would have an x equals -1, and I'd have an x squared equals -9. I'm going to have x equals plus or minus 3i, because I'm square root, right? You okay with 3i? Did I go too fast on that?
No, you did wonderful.
Good. All right, example 5 has 3 answers. And the only way you're going to get the 3 answers is if we factor it into the a cubed plus b cubed. So the only way you're going to get your 3 answers is because you'll get 1 answer here, and then you get your other 2 answers here. Does that make sense? So if I factor it, I'm going to factor it into an x cubed plus a 2 cubed, right? We know that a is equal to x and b is equal to 2, all right? And I'm going to use my formula. My formula is a plus b times my a squared minus my ab plus my b squared. And that came from an a cubed plus a b cubed. Okay, that's my formula I'm going to use. So, a is x. I'll put x there. B is 2, and I'll put 2 right there. Okay, so we'll rewrite this as x plus 2, because that's my a plus b, times x squared minus 2x plus 4. Okay, now step back. I'll let you look at that, okay? We did that last year. I don't know if you remember that or not last year, but we did this last year, okay? Now, from here, mini equations. Well, one mini equation is easy. X plus 2 equals 0, x equals negative 2, correct? That's easy, negative 2. But how about this one? We should get two answers. We should get two answers, but it doesn't factor.
Wait, why not?
Well, what are the multiples of 4?
2.
Is it going to make a negative 2?
No.
Bummer. So if it doesn't factor, what do we got to do? Quadratic formula, right? Remember our negative. So A is 1, B is negative 2, and C is 4, right? So you ready? Negative B. So I'm doing it right here. Negative B is a positive 2 plus or minus square root. Negative B plus or minus square root of B squared, or negative 2 squared minus 4 times A, which is 1, times C, which is 4, all over 2 times 1, because that's 8. How am I doing?
Good.
Yeah. So then I've got a 2 plus or minus the square root of a 4 minus 16 all over 2, right? Okay, I'm running out of room, so I'll put it up here. I'm going to slide it right up here. So I've got a 2 plus or minus the square root of a negative 12 all over 2. Okay, now I got to do some side work. A little side work. So I'm going to do some slide the side work over here. Square root of negative 12 is the same thing as the square root of 4 times the square root of 3 times the square root of negative 1. Okay? Square root of negative 12 is 4 times 3 times negative 1. Right? Which is 2 square root of 3i. Yeah. So there's my side work. So instead of writing the square root of negative 12, let's write 2 plus or minus 2 square roots of 3i over 2. 2 is reduced, and I've got a 1 plus or minus 1 square roots of 3i. And those are my other two answers. Okay? Thumbs up? Now, example 6. I don't know if you ever watched Jeopardy. Anybody ever watch Jeopardy? Okay, if you watch Jeopardy, they'll say the answer is. In Jeopardy, they'll say the answer is. And in Jeopardy, the hard part, that's what makes Jeopardy so great for smart people, is they want you to find the question from the answer. Well, this one's pretty easy. If the answer is x equals 4, then that had to have come from a x minus 4 mini equation, right? But this is a little harder. Okay. Now, right, so what I want you to do is just listen, don't write anything down, okay? I'm still recording. I'm going to put, because I'm going to show you the hard way, and then I'm going to show you the easy way, okay? So if the hard way makes sense to you, so what I have also is an x equals 2 minus 3i, and I also have a x equals, yes, 2 plus 3i. Okay, as we talked about how they come in pairs, right? Agree with that so far? So then I have an x, if I bring that over, minus 2, bring that over, plus 3i equals 0, okay? And then the same thing here. If I bring it over, I have x minus 2 minus 3i equals 0, okay? So then my polynomial would be the x minus 4, p of x. So this is the question. What was the original question? Okay, it was equal to, okay, this, x minus 4, because that's going to give me that answer. And then this, x minus 2 plus 3i, x minus 2 minus 3i, okay, equals 0. No, it doesn't equal 0 because we've got the polynomial, okay? So that would be a really ugly answer, correct?
Yeah, very.
But we can fix it, okay? I'm going to fix this, okay? So leaving the x minus 4 alone, okay, I'm going to get x squared minus 2x minus 3xi, okay? Just watch, okay? I'm going to get a negative 2x, no positive, my bad. Nope, negative 2x.
Well, Mr. Davies will be right back.
I'm going to get a positive 4. I'm going to get a positive 6i, right? Whew. This is getting to be ugly, but I can do it, okay? I'm going to get a 3ix, a positive 3xi. I'm going to get a negative 6i. And then I'm going to get a negative 9i squared. Oh my gosh! Okay, let's see what I got.
Let's see.
X minus 4, right? I'm going to have an x squared minus a 4x plus 4 minus 9 times negative 1, okay? Which that makes positive 9, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Which makes that a 13, because I'm running out of room. You okay at 13? Positive 9 plus 4 makes that a 13, okay?
Okay.
Plus 13, okay? That's the polynomial. So if you were to do this and do your quadratic formula, you can do that as well. But I want to just look at this for a second, okay? I'm going to keep that, okay? If I were to do the quadratic formula, right? Negative b plus minus 2, blah, 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 blah. I would get these, I would get that answer, I'd get plus or minus b. I would get a 2 minus 3i and a 2 minus 3i, okay? If I did the quadratic formula on this, I would get 2 minus 3i, and I would get a 2 plus 3i. I really would. Trust me. If you want to do it, do it. That was a pain, wasn't it? Look at all that work. But what if I had a little trick?
Well, you always do.
You know, it's so funny because Celeste, I had Celeste's mom in class many, many years ago, right? And your mom is so funny. She goes, Celeste, she goes, just pay attention because Miss Davis is going to teach you a lot of tricks. Do you remember when she said that? And she remembers it. So Jenny's probably, what, 40-something now? And Jenny's like, she still remembers my class. She goes, just listen because it's going to teach you lots of tricks. That's what she told me. I'm like, yep. Because why would anybody want to do it this way? It works. Do you see how it works? It works. But there's a cool trick to doing it, okay? And it's not in many books. It's hard to find. But I learned it in college. I'm like, whew, it's a sweet trick, okay? Now we're going to leave that there, okay? All right, now back to recording. Here we go. So how is the trick? So the trick is this. If you're going to get a complex, it only works with complex roots, 2 plus 3i and a 2 minus 3i and a 2 plus 3i, right? Those are both my answers, correct? Then there's a cool little formula. We're going to say it's x squared minus the sum of x plus the product. Okay, write that down. Specifically, write this down, because I'm going to show you how easy this is. Make sure you write that down. So if you want to find the quadratic from complex roots, this little formula is going to get it snapped. Okay, what does it mean? Okay, sum means the sum of the roots. So let's take my roots are 2 minus 3i, 2 plus 3i, okay? So here's my roots. 2 minus 3i, 2 plus 3i. Hopefully I'm not going too fast, okay? I know I got this one, and they come in pairs, right? I got that one, they come in pairs. So both my roots are 2 minus 3i, 2 plus 3i. Okay, got that? Sum, add them together. What do I get when I add them together?
You get 4.
I get 4. Okay? All right, so I would have, let's see, in this answer, x minus 4, I'd have an x squared minus 4x plus the product. Product means to multiply. So what if I went and took my 2 minus 3i times my 2 plus 3i. Let's multiply, okay? 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3i is a positive 6i. Negative 3 times 2 is a negative 6i. And negative 3 times negative 3i is a negative 9i squared. Hey, that looks exactly like what I had, right? Doesn't that look exactly like what we had? Which is a 4 minus 9i squared is negative 1, which is what? 13. What do we get? 13. So I'm going to get plus 13. That is a lot faster and a lot easier than what I did on the board. Okay, so this only works, this little trick, x squared minus the sum of the roots plus the product of the roots only works for complex roots, but it's a slick way to do it, isn't it? Okay. All right, now We're not going to do the homework today because I want us to do the review instead, okay? So, the review. Let's take a look at the review. I'm going to pass it out. We can sit together and work on the review together, all right? So,